The Spanish Empire was one of the largest empires in world history and one of the first of global extent. It reached the peak of its military, political and economic power under the Spanish Habsburgs through most of the 16th and 17th centuries, and its greatest territorial extent under the Bourbons in the 18th century when it was the largest empire in the world. The Spanish Empire became the foremost global power of its time, and was the first to be called the empire on which the sun never sets. The empire, administered from Madrid by the Spanish crown, comprised territories and colonies in Europe, the Americas, Africa, Asia and Oceania. It originated during the Age of Exploration after the voyages of Christopher Columbus and lasted until the late 19th century. Spain's territorial reach beyond Europe included the Greater Antilles, half of South America, most of Central America and much of North America, as well as a number of Pacific Ocean archipelagos including the Philippines. The bulk of Spain's empire was held for over 3 centuries. Starting in 1492 with the Spanish colonization of the Americas and lasting until the early 19th century Spanish-American Wars of Independence that left only Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines as Spanish. Following the Spanish-American War of 1898, Spain ceded its last colonies in the Caribbean and the Pacific to the United States. Its last African colonies were granted independence in 1975, in conjunction with the territories of the Portuguese Empire, which Spain controlled from 1580 to 1640. The Spanish Empire started the European dominance in global affairs. The Spanish Empire has left a huge cultural, urban and architectural legacy in the Western Hemisphere. Hundreds of towns and cities in the Americas were founded during the Spanish period. The tangible heritage includes forts, churches, schools, hospitals, government buildings and colonial residences, many of which still stand today. Many present-day roads, canals, ports or bridges sit where Spanish engineers built them centuries ago. The oldest universities in the Americas were founded by Spanish scholars and Catholic missionaries. The Spanish Empire also left a vast cultural and linguistic legacy. With over 470 million native speakers today, Spanish is the second most spoken native language in the world, as a result of the introduction of the language of Castile, Castilian, Castellano, from Iberia to Spanish America, later expanded by the governments of the independent republics. Other cultural legacies of the Spanish Empire overseas was Roman Catholicism, which remains today the main religion in Spanish America. The cultural legacy is also present in the music, architecture, cuisine and fashion of much of Spanish America. The land of the Iberian Peninsula was commonly called Hispania since Roman times and during the Visigothic kingdom. The Reconquista resulted in the emergence of 4 Christian realms: Castile, Aragon, Navarre and Portugal. The dynastic union between the Crown of Castile and the Crown of Aragon by the Catholic monarchs initiated a political authoritarian system in force until the beginning of the 18th century, which has become known as the Spanish monarchy. During this period, the Spanish sovereign acted as monarch in a unitary manner over all his territories through a polar synodal system of councils, although his power as king or lord varied from one territory to another, since each territory retained its own particular administration and juridical configuration. The unity did not mean uniformity. Since the Crown of Castile had funded the voyage of Christopher Columbus Indiana 1492, the empire in the Americas was a newly established dependency of that kingdom alone, so crown power was not impeded by any existing cortes, administrative or ecclesiastical institution, or seigneurial group. Under this political configuration, irrespective of the denominations given to the dynastic union, existing from 1580 to 1640, the Portuguese realm kept its own administration and jurisdiction over its territory, as did the other kingdoms and realms ruled by the Spanish Habsburgs. Nevertheless, Some historians assert that Portugal was a kingdom which formed part of the Spanish monarchy at that time, while others draw a clear distinction between the Portuguese and the Spanish empires. The Spanish Empire included the dominions of the Spanish monarch in the Americas, Asia, Oceania and Africa, but some disputes exist as to which European territories are to be counted. For instance, normally the Habsburg Netherlands are included, as they were part of the possessions of the King of Spain, were governed by Spanish officials, and were defended by Spanish troops. However, authors like the British historian Henry Carman contend that these territories were not fully integrated into a Spanish state and instead formed part of the wider Habsburg possessions. Some historians use Habsburg and Spanish almost interchangeably when referring to the dynastic inheritance of Charles V or Philip II.